Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome if this is your very first time here. I want to start this video by wishing you guys a very Merry Christmas. I had a great Christmas myself, spending it with my family. So tonight, I just thought I would relax. This quiz consists of 15 multiple choice questions that will range in difficulty. So feel free to join in and see if you can beat my score. So I think for this quiz, given that it has 15 questions, I'm going to aim to get at least 8 right. So I want to get over 50% right. So let's begin with the quiz. And I will just click this start quiz button here. And I believe it is going to time us. But if I press this button, it will stop the timer. So this is an ASMR video, so we're not going to be rushed. We're going to take our time going through the questions. So we begin with question 1. And I think this is quite a straightforward one to begin with. And it is, which of these is not an alternative name for Santa Claus? Is it Mr. Merry? Is it St. Nicholas? Is it Father Christmas? Or is it Kris Kringle? I think most people would get this right. I do believe he is referred by these 3 names here, but not by Mr. Merry, which is, it sort of sounds like it could be a Hallmark type Christmas movie title, Mr. Merry. I like that. But in this case, it is the correct answer, I do believe. So let's move on to question 2. And question 2 is, which of the following is a famous Christmas ballet? Is it Rudolph's Romance? Is it the Nutcracker? Snowtime in New York? Or Mr. and Mrs. Claus? So I think this one is possibly slightly more tricky than the first one, but I think it is still quite an easy one. I don't think it's Rudolph's Romance. I don't think it's Snowtime in New York. And I don't think it's Mr. and Mrs. Claus. The only one that I have heard of here is the Nutcracker. And if it is a ballet, I wasn't aware it was a ballet, but I have definitely heard of the Nutcracker before, so I'm going to select that as my answer. And if we scroll down to question 3, in what decade was the song Santa Claus is Coming to Town first released? Okay, so this is the first question that I think I'm going to have trouble with. But of course, being a multiple choice quiz, I can guess the answer if I don't know. And for this question, I don't actually know the answer for sure. So it is going to be a guess. So let's have a think about this. I'm thinking about the 1910s, and I think that's a bit early. So I'm going to rule out the 1910s. Moving on to the 1930s. I think the 1930s was really when Santa Christmas, and one of the facts was about Santa Claus and how Coca-Cola really started the trend of Santa Claus, and they gave him the red and white suit and things of that nature, and it was really around the 1930s that this happened. So I'm wondering if it could be the 1930s, but then again it might have been slightly later than 1950s. I'm not going to go for the 70s, I think that's too late. So I've rounded it down to two answers, the 50s or the 30s. And I think I've talked myself into going for the 1930s. So let's select that as our answer. And move on to question number 4, which is, what is Frosty the Snowman's nose made of? According to the song, I think I know the main lyrics. I'm just kind of singing it to myself in my head a little bit. I can't sing it out loud, or that might be a breach of copyright, so yeah, feel free to sing it in your head as well and see if you can come up with the answer. What was Frosty the Snowman's nose made of? A rock, a parsnip, a carrot, or a button? Well, immediately my gut is telling me to rule out a rock and to rule out a parsnip. A carrot is obviously the traditional item that's used for a snowman's nose, and you also sometimes see coal used as well for a snowman's nose and smile, but that isn't one of the options. So I think I'm just going to go for a carrot because it's the most logical choice, and sometimes the most logical choice is the obvious answer. So question 5. What colour is the Grinch? Green, black, yellow, or white? And I think this is a very easy question. I think we've all seen the Grinch before. I haven't actually seen any of the Grinch movies. I know there are a few, and there's also the animated version, but I think the answer is very straightforward, and it is green. Question 6. Which of these is not one of Santa's reindeers? Goner, Vixen, Comet, or Blitzen? I think there are a lot of people who can't actually name the reindeer. I've actually asked a fair number of people over the years if they can name the 8 reindeer, and I would say the majority of people couldn't do it. They can name maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3, but in general they couldn't do it. So I think quite a few people would struggle with this question, but I'm glad to say that I'm not one of them because I do know the answer. I actually learnt the 8 reindeer through the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Jingle All the Way, which is quite amusing, in So, of the 8 reindeer I just named, the one that is not in the list and the one that is not one of Santa's reindeers is Gunner. So well done if you got the answer right. Question 7. What is Scrooge's first name? Donald, Ebenezer, Maxwell, or Martin? I have to admit some of these questions are very easy and others aren't so easy. So I think there's a good mix in here. But this one I think is another very easy one. And the answer is, of course, Ebenezer. Donald Scrooge has a good ring to it. Maxwell Scrooge. And can you imagine if his name was Martin Scrooge? So we'll move on from that one. And here we have a question that is a lot more difficult. And it is, in what continent did the Christmas tree originate? And I think you would get a lot of different answers for this question. I would say if we had a percentage of answers given, they would be spread out all over the board here. But I think North America is the one that most people would select. But having done a recent Christmas facts video, I think the Germans were the ones who first developed the Christmas tree as a trend. So I think I'm going to go for Europe there and hope for the best, but I do think I have recalled that piece of information correctly from the Christmas facts video I did. So it's good to know that some of the information sticks, we hope. I'm not certain that the answer is right, but we will see. Question 9. What kind of Christmas is Bing Crosby dreaming of? Is it a white Christmas, a warm Christmas, a snowy Christmas, or a bright Christmas? And again, I think this is a very straightforward question. We all know the song by Bing Crosby, and it is White Christmas. And I think there was a movie with the title White Christmas as well that he starred in. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think there was. And we move on to question 10. And it is, which of these is not a way of saying Merry Christmas? Okay, so here we have a more difficult question. For me anyway. And our options are, and I'll do my best to pronounce these as well as I can, but I can't guarantee that I will pronounce them correctly. So the first one I think is German, and it is Fröhlicher Schneetag. Fröhlicher Schneetag. I can't even say it. But yeah, that is the first one. The second one, I think maybe French, and it is Joyeux Noël. I've probably completely butchered that. Now the third one is Spanish, and I think it's pronounced Feliz Navidad. And this one is the only one of the four that I know is a way of saying Merry Christmas, because I have a Spanish friend and I have seen it written and I've heard him say it before as well. So we will not be selecting this answer as we know it's correct. And the last one is Mile Kalikimaka, and I'm not sure what language that is. It could be Japanese, I guess, but I'm not sure. But I think I'm going to go for this fourth option, because I think this is how you say Merry Christmas in German. And I think this is how you say Merry Christmas in French. But I'm not 100% sure, but that is what I'm going to go for. So let's move on to question 11 now. And it is, in what century was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens published? Okay, wow. Okay, this is a bit more tricky. I think we all know A Christmas Carol. It's a very famous story, and there have been numerous movies made surrounding this story over the years, over the decades, all the way back to, I think, the 1930s. And there are still versions of it made today. So I'm going to rule out the 1900s. I think that's far too late. So that leaves us with three options: the 1600s, the 1700s, and the 1800s. So this is going to be a guess, but I think it might be a very, very old story. So the 1600s is kind of jumping out at me here. So I think I'm going to go for that, but I'm not overly confident on it being the correct answer, but that is the one that I'm going to select. So let's move on to question 12, and it is, which country did the proceeds from Bob Geldof's original Do They Know It's Christmas in 1984 go to? Okay, so these questions are getting more tougher as we go along. And this song, Do They Know It's Christmas, is very, very popular here in the UK, of course, and you hear it every year. It is one of the songs that I really like hearing. And it is all to do about kids in Africa being deprived and starving, etc. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but Angola, Libya, Ethiopia, and Uganda. And whilst I don't know the correct answer for sure, there is one that is jumping out at me, and for some reason it may be somewhere in the back of my mind, but I think it might be Ethiopia, but I could be completely wrong. So let's select that and move on to question 13. So we have three left, and this one is, what kind of nuts are typically roasting on an open fire? So this is quite an easy one, I think, and our options are walnuts, chestnuts, pecans, or peanuts. And it is the very first line of the song, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. So if we move on to our penultimate question, we have, which of these actors has not played Santa Claus in a movie? Is it Michael Gambon, Tom Hanks, Richard Attenborough, or Tim Allen? Alright, so there are at least two of these I can rule out. Tim Allen has played Santa Claus in the 1990s movies. I think they were called The Santa Claus, so I'm going to rule him out. Richard Attenborough played Santa in Miracle on 34th Street, which was a great movie. I remember going to see that movie in the cinema when it came out and being absolutely captivated by it. I thought he was an absolutely brilliant Santa, very, very believable, but also quite different to other Santas that you see in movies. So yeah, we can rule him out. So we are left with Michael Gambon and Tom Hanks. Now, Michael Gambon is an actor that I don't know by name. Maybe I would know him if I saw a picture, but I don't recognize that name. Tom Hanks is, of course, one of the best actors around, in my opinion, and there aren't many roles that he hasn't done over the years, I don't think. So it is quite possible that he has played Santa Claus in a movie, but I think if he did play Santa in a movie, I would have seen it, or I would have at least heard about it or know about it. So I think for that reason, I'm going to actually go with Tom Hanks, because he's such a high-profile actor that if he did play Santa in a movie, it would be very well known. And finally, question 15. In the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, how many gifts are sent? Oh my goodness, this is going to be a complete guess. Okay, so I know the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, but I couldn't honestly tell you what the right answer is, or what was sent on each of the 12 days. I only really know 5 golden rings, 4... I can't even remember what it was. What was 4? 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, partridge in a pear tree. Yeah, it's not a song that I know very well at all. So I'm really struggling here to pick an answer. But the options we have are 364, 256, 182, or 400. So I imagine that those totals are cumulative when you add them all up. But even then, these totals seem very high, so it's going to be a complete guess, unfortunately. And for absolutely no reason, I'm just going to go with 256. So that is the quiz complete. And now let's press finish quiz and see what happens. And here we go with our results. So I scored 10 out of 15. So I did reach my target of 8, I believe it was. And this equates to 67%, so I'm quite happy with that in the end. This beats or equals 54.9% of test takers, so yeah, that's not bad at all. And if we run down through the answers, we can see what we got right and what we got wrong. So the first one, very easy there. The correct answer was Mr. Merry, which is not an alternative name for Santa Claus. Father Christmas is often used in UK, St. Nicholas in Europe, and Kris Kringle was popularised in US movies, as well as having German origins. 73% of users answered this correctly. Question 2. Which of the following is a famous Christmas ballet? And I was correct in answering the Nutcracker. So I'm pleased about that. And that was one of the ones I was very confident in getting right. And 78% also answered this correctly. Question 3. In what decade was the song Santa Claus is Coming to Town first released? And I am really happy that I got this right. I think I worked it out quite well. In that, the 1930s was really when Santa became, or started to become popular, I should say. And that is when the song Santa Claus is Coming to Town was released. 24% of users answered this correctly, which is really low. So yeah, I'm quite chuffed to have got that one right. Okay, so here we have our first wrong answer. What is Frosty the Snowman's nose made of? According to the song, I picked a carrot, but it was in fact a button. And we have the lyrics here. Frosty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and 2 eyes made of coal. Okay. Now that I'm reading the lyrics there, I can now see that it does make sense that it was a button. So we can move on to question 5. But we should note that only 38% of users answered that question correctly. And this one was another quite easy one, I think. Very easy one, in fact. What colour is the Grinch? And of course, green was the correct answer. And an overwhelming 82% of users answered this one correct as well. Question 6 was another one I was very confident in getting right. Which of these is not one of Santa's reindeers? We had Gunner, Vixen, Comet, or Blitzen. 79% got this one correct, and the answer was Gunner. So perhaps I underestimate people in knowing that he eat reindeer. Perhaps the people that I have come across are in a minority of people who don't know the names, because 79% is quite high, much higher than I would have anticipated for that one. Question 7 was also an easy one, and it was, what is Scrooge's first name? And it was, of course, Ebenezer. 79% got this one correct as well. So I think really, up until this point, we've done very well. We've only got one wrong. So it looks as if the majority of questions I got wrong were ones that I was unsure of. So question 8 we have, in what continent did the Christmas tree originate? And it was Europe. Modern Christmas trees emerged in Western Germany during the 16th century. 62% of users answered this correctly, and that's a little bit higher than I would have thought. But I'm quite pleased that I was able to recall that piece of information from my Christmas facts episode. So yeah, happy with that. And question 9. What kind of Christmas is Bing Crosby dreaming of? And that was another very easy one. It was, of course, White Christmas. 79% of users answered this correctly. So it seems like all the questions I got wrong were towards the end of this quiz. Oh dear, this one I felt quite confident on. Which of these is not a way of saying Merry Christmas? I picked the was way off. And it says the other three are Hawaiian, Spanish, and French. Froliker Schneetag is German for Merry Snow Day. Okay. Not Christmas, so that was a very clever one in tripping us up there. So that's a shame that I got that one wrong. I thought I had worked it out quite well. But there you go. And only 46% of users got this one correct. Question 11 was another one that I got wrong, and I'm quite disappointed about this one. In what century was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens published? It was the 1800s. I really should have known that, but for some reason I had it in my head that it was the 1500s or 1600s, so I went for the 1600s there. 57% of users got this one correct as well. Question 12. Quite happy with this one. Which country did the proceeds from Bob Geldof's original Do They Know It's Christmas in 1984 go to? Was it Angola, Libya, Ethiopia, or Uganda? And I correctly answered Ethiopia. There was something in the back of my mind that was telling me it was Ethiopia. I think I've probably heard it somewhere before, so I'm quite happy I got that one. And it says the money raised helped anti-famine efforts in Ethiopia. 61% of users answered this correctly, so that's a little bit lower than I would have thought for that one. Question 13, another very easy one. What kind of nuts are typically roasting on an open fire? And it was, of course, chestnuts. And this was a song popularized by Nat King Cole. And 77% of users answered this one correctly. So we have two more to go, and oh my goodness, I'm quite surprised by this. Which of these actors has not played Santa Claus? It was Michael Gambon, the one that I'd never heard of. Richard Attenborough was in Miracle on 34th Street, which I knew. Tim Allen was in The Santa Claus, and Tom Hanks played Santa among many other characters in the Polar Express. I can't believe I forgot that. I've seen the Polar Express, I think maybe twice. Well, not all the way through, I've seen parts of it. And to be honest, I don't recall him playing Santa in that movie. I know it was animated, of course. So I was thinking of live action movies, and I couldn't picture Tom Hanks as Santa in anything. But he was in the Polar Express in animated form. So yeah, that one tripped me up. And it also tripped up a lot of other people. Only 22% answered this correctly, and I think a lot of people probably were thinking along the same lines I was. So that is a very clever question. I like that one a lot. And our final question, which was a complete guess job. In the song, the 12 Days of Christmas, how many gifts are sent? The correct answer was 364. I don't think anybody would know that answer, so I think 35% of people guessed the correct answer there. So yeah, that was a very difficult one. But that concludes the quiz, I do believe. And we just have some answer stats here down at the bottom, as you can see, and it just gives us some general stats of what percentage got it right and what answers I got right. So here we have my correct answers, and here we have the 5 answers I got wrong. So as you can see, the ones that I got wrong, I am joined by quite a lot of people, because not many people got these answers right compared to other ones here. So this was the answer that I got right that had the lowest amount of people getting it correct. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that one. But honestly, a lot of these ones here were quite straightforward, so you would expect to see these high figures. But yeah guys, I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the quiz as well. And if you took part, I hope you did well with your answers. So thank you for joining me tonight for this Christmas quiz edition. And if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate if you hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the notification bell as well, and you will get notified when my videos go live on the channel. I have a lot of videos planned for the new year, so look out for those. But once again, Merry Christmas to you guys, and as always, rest easy, sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video, and goodbye for now.